got a lot of hip hop and R&B royalty in the building, in my personal opinion tonight.
We do. And hold on, before you do that introduction, I also want to make sure to let y'all know to shout out the venue that we are in tonight, Philadelphia's Clef Club. This is an amazing venue. They do a lot of work in our community. All of the, you see all these musicians here? In 10, 15 years, the ones that are learning to be these cats right here are coming here on the weekends and during the day to learn their instruments and learn their craft. If you get an opportunity to support more programming here, please do so. If you want to join, and let me just say that in order for us to keep these kinds of institutions, we have to support them. If you want to, this is the only black-owned venue.
The only black establishment on the Avenue of the Arts. It's right here.
It's right here. And we are here preserving black culture and making sure you guys know about the history here. So please always support.
If any of y'all got any kids out there that play music and that you would like to learn music, you can also bring them here to get instructionalized by some of the wonderful people who do instruction.
You gotta love black people and they made up words. Hallelujah. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand.
Yes.
And we want, like my husband said, tonight we have R&B and hip hop royalty in the house. We are more than excited to bring them to you tonight. And first up on the show tonight, we have, like he said, hip hop royalty. Yeah. This man is connected to some of the most amazing records in hip hop history and some of the most amazing producers in hip hop history. He is an icon, and we want to make sure that he has the proper introduction. Baby, you ahead.
Now, when you think of hip hop, most people think New York. They think a little bit of Philly. You know, they got the South. But when I think of Boston, I think of the Boston Celtics. I think of the New Kids on the Block. I think of New Edition. But when I think of hip hop in Boston, I think of Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to bring to you a man who has put some great music into the world, some music with messages. Hip hop is very void of a lot of good messages in this current day and age. This gentleman has put some things into the world, into the universe that has inspired and influenced many. So without further ado, please make a joyful noise for Boston's own Ed O.G. Come on, fam.
Welcome, my brother.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored and blessed to be here.
What up, Philly?
Yes, indeed. Fatim talked about the fact that you are Boston's own. And when I was reading up on you, I was really pleased to find out that actually, and you can tell me if this is true or not, that Guru is also born in Boston, even though he made his home musically in New York.
Guru from Gangstar.
Guru from Gangstar. I'm assuming y'all know who these people are, but I'll expound next time. Is also born in Boston, so there's a lot of things in the water in Boston that we may not be all the way aware of. But tell us about your journey and how it was being a hip-hop artist out of your city.
It was pretty tough because Boston was always up. When I first came out, people didn't even think we had black people in Boston. They thought,
yes.
I mean, it was like, really? Y'all up there? So it was very difficult. First of all, we don't have the support of radio. It's one of the main things that's kind of been wrong with the city forever. We never had really black radio, and when we did, we had one when I was young, and it was an AM station that was sun up to sundown. So we couldn't hear no R&B or nothing after 6 o'clock. So it was tough in that way, and I actually had to go to New York to get my deal. I have cousins that are from New Jersey, the Awesome Two, Teddy, Ted, and Special K. They put on Nice and Smooth. Yeah. Paz K, they done work with many people, and they were on the radio back in the 80s and 90s in New York. And they're the ones who actually got me my deal, and I just pestered them as a kid, sending them my demo tapes, seriously, from cassettes. We all old enough to know we all came up on cassette. Some of us 8 tracks when I was a kid.
There's a couple of 8 tracks in the building.
That was still in the car. In the car when I was little. So yeah, it was just a difficult time in Boston in general for music,
So do you think that helps or hurts you as an MC to not have so many people that we can look to from your city? Does that really work in your favor? Or,
I mean, for me, it was, I wanted to put the city on the map. And
you did.
Yeah, so that was my goal, and to get the music out there and get the message that I wanted to get out to people. So for me, I think it motivates a lot of people because if you don't have it, you gotta just like Philly and Boston, we New York is in the middle, and we both, y'all a little bigger than us, but y'all feel the same way about New York, Boston, Philly, the East Coast. Y'all know how it goes. And New York was the mecca of hip hop. So if you can make it there, you could.
You come along to your opportunity to make your first album, and that album is, well, now it's just over 25 years, probably closer to 30 at this point.
Yeah, almost 30.
You're talking about almost 30 years
91.
Since that album was put out, and it's still considered a hip hop classic. And one of the, they played a little earlier, but one of the most important records is Be a Father to Your Child.
Yes.
And did you receive any, I think it's safe to say that there was support for the record because we all loved it so much.
Yep.
But did you receive any backlash from the record?
Not at all. It's surprisingly most brothers that heard the song, when I made the song, I made it because I didn't see, all I seen was women in carriages. And this is in the 80s, when we had a lot of black pregnancy and, young teenagers having babies. Yeah, it was real crazy. So and the cool thing to do back then was to say, the baby's not mine. That's the first thing a dude would say out of his mouth, knowing damn well it's his, and, be responsible. So I didn't grow up with my father. He passed when I was 7. He got murdered, and I was raised by a strong black woman, of course. And, so for me, it was seeing all of that, I just wanted to make a change. And I wasn't caring about what people had to say. It was more about the message, and it really came across, man. It's surprising, something like that you sit in your room as a teenager writing and thinking about can really make an impact.
Yeah, because you got started fairly young. You talk about 15, 16 years old, which many of the hip-hop artists that come on here got started when they were teenagers. And to have that kind of foresight as a young man really makes it even more important that you made that record because it was a very mature way to think at that time. And in fact, it continued throughout your record, and that particular album. And of course, you have more music. But in that particular album, as you start talking about social consciousness, and you started really talking about a lot of the issues that face people. And with your background being in Boston, and of course we know there's black folks in Boston.
Yes,
but we also know it's a notoriously racist city.
Yeah. From, and that was with me growing up in the 70s being bussed, the school bus, and, getting rocks thrown at us and picket signs outside of our schools. And we literally elementary school. It didn't really traumatize me like that. Now, I know how people now, everything is all, vanilla and fluffy cakes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets a trophy now. Everybody's a winner. That's the age we live in. But, I think it just made me, I didn't really have any white friends until I started doing hip hop. I started breakdancing and doing graffiti, and that brought kids and all diversity from all around the city together, under that hip hop banner. And I think if it wasn't for music, I don't know. I didn't have any white friends at that. Now I have plenty, of course, brothers, but I mean, it's just the music is what kind of merged that in Boston, and I think brought a lot of us together under the hip hop umbrella.
Right. Now, you're a real spitter, man. I mean, there was an interview with you talking about Eminem, and you said that he was a good rapper, but you didn't like any of his songs. What's your opinion of the current state of hip hop?
I mean, hip-hop right now is terrible. I'm sorry. I am sorry. And no disrespect to the young kids because everybody has their time. It's their time now. I respect that. it's not a lot of originality in any of the music or the substance, the content, nothing. It just sounds like one consistent song. It's like hip hop has turned into reggae, where you get a hit and everybody is rapping on the same hit. It works for dance hall, but not for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So we got to have more diversity in radio. You know, I think.
You did a project with Master Ace called the A&E Project, and on that project you did a song called Little Young.
Salute.
Is that pretty much where the concept of that record comes from, about what's happening these days?
I came up with that concept in like 2008. And this is, you know, it was
because everybody's little something.
It was a million of them in 2008.
It's like 6,000.
Now it's
like 6,000 artists on Spotify with the name Little something.
Yeah, Little or Young. So I mean, that to me, when I started seeing every new artist come out and they were either little or young, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, where's the originality? When did it be cool to be a copycat? I'm from the era we don't bite, we don't copy. If we like something, we're gonna ask you where you get it from, you know, but it's a different era. So I don't know, man. The kids, I got an 18-year-old son. You know, my youngest is 18.
Those conversations gotta be funny.
He raps, yeah, and he listens to all the trash, but he knows the real. He 18, Ed! He knows the real. So, you know, I had to, Daddy is the real. Yeah, man, so, you know.
I mean, you talked about originality, particularly in names, and I thought I had no idea about this until I read it.
What the Bulldogs mean.
I was young. The Bulldogs, yeah.
About what that acronym really means.
Tell them, baby.
You can tell me if I'm wrong, because, you know, sometimes you read
It's
things
all
on the
good.
good people's internet, and it don't be right. Here we go. Okay, so Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs is an acronym standing for Black United Leaders Living Directly on Grooving Sounds.
Yes.
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 That's a long name.
Grooving sounds. Look, grooving. I know we couldn't think of anything
It's
else.
all good.
Back
Grooving.
then, grooving.
That's all right. We have a very long name as well.
Grooving.
We got called all kinds of crazy stuff.
Let me ask this. How important is it to you to keep contributing to the culture despite the dismal sales and the way that the industry is right now?
It's very important, man. I love it. Like, I love what I do for a living. You know, I love creating, putting out new music, touring the music, and getting the response, you know, from the people that get it. So, I mean, for me, yeah, it's, you know, it's a tough time for all artists, but I mean, you gotta, if this is what you love, keep grinding, keep doing it, be consistent with your music, make good music. You know, don't switch up from, I'm not trying to do any auto-tune, you know, nothing to get young folks. If they like what I'm doing, come on in, you know, but I'm not gonna do something to try to really reel you in.
I mean, yeah, that goes along the line of what we tend to call, you know, pro stuff. We usually don't say stuff, but I don't know, you know, if y'all gonna be comfortable with the other word.
We allowed to say shit on here.
Okay, so we typically call that pro shit. When you're a pro, you do what you do the best way that you know how to do it, and you accept those who accept what you do. And that's just really how it goes. I have to mention this too, though, that one of the other big songs from your debut album is a song called Bugaboo.
Yep.
And
y'all remember Bugaboo? By Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs?
Or by Destiny's Child, because they
Yes,
I know you remember that.
So this is my question. I was like, so does Destiny's Child owe you some money? I mean, I'm just saying, I had never heard that term until you said it.
No. Did Destiny's Child give you some money?
No. But Beyonce, if you listening, look me up, y'all. I think we could, but I don't want to get into they definitely used my song. They used the same hook.
Synonyms.
The singy song way we did it. They kind of did it in a singy song way.
And the description of what a bugaboo was
the same thing.
Was.
And they, you know,
and there was no other bugaboo before that came along. Was
not a one.
Not a song.
Not a one.
Not a one.
Beyonce.
I mean, you know, we're not trying to start no trouble, because
yes, we are.
Listen, it's on my mind. It's been on my mind.
You like it's been on my mind.
It's been on my mind. Yeah,
we need the ratings. We need the ratings.
You talked about having an 18-year-old son. What are the kinds of things that you tell him about hip hop music, and what do you think young people need to know, particularly about your era of hip hop music?
Well, yeah, I've taught him all about the whole hip hop, and from its inception and everything. And then I took him on tour with me a couple of years ago for a couple of tours and really let him see the grind and see how it works. And, so he has a different appreciation for it now. As I took him to Europe, so it wasn't in the States. And mainly me, I tour more so probably around the world than I do in the States. We live on a big planet and there's hip hop fans everywhere, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I took him to Europe a couple of times, couple of tours. He loved it. It was a total different experience from him. In the festivals over there, we did a festival, so he got
Did it shock him to see, when your children see you perform? Your children just think you.
Yeah, of course.
And then for him to see you rocking a crowd,
did
he look at you different?
I don't think he did. I think he just, because it was his first real time coming and then being on a consistent, so we performing every night. And so he got to, see it and absorb it and then get comfortable with it and start, all right, he's ready to go. Whenever he's like, can I come?
I love it.
You worked with a lot of incredible producers, Pete Rock, namely, the project you worked with him,
DJ
Diamond
Premier.
DJ Premier, of course. I would like to know, what is your most prized collaboration, in your opinion, if you have one?
Yeah, I'd probably say with Master Ace. I say that project was, if y'all look up the project, it's called A&E Arts and Entertainment. You could, stream it, whatever. Just check it out. So that project, it took us about 2 years to make. So it wasn't something we just kind of jumped into. We really took our time. And, he's in New York, I'm in Boston, so we had to do the back and forth. And I just think it came out just a nice masterpiece of hip-hop.
Y'all had Marsha Ambrosius, who's, of course,
and I was mad at Ace because he got her to do
a hook.
A rap hook. I'm
hook.
like, Marsha.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I thought that was what y'all wanted.
Look, no, Ace knew her. I didn't know her. I'm like, listen, man.
Ace been on the show too, and we love Ace too. Yeah,
so he
but
got
that's
her
a
to do a rap
gem
hook.
to have Marsha rapping because everybody knows her for her singing.
Of
Look what
course.
they do. Look
at
what we do. That was
great.
It was hot though.
It was
an
cool.
opportunity for y'all to see
I
her do
wanted
something
her
different.
sing, man.
You'll get her singing one day. You'll get her singing. Look, we really appreciate you. We want to know if there's anything that we should be on the lookout for coming up, and let people know how they can find you on social media and things like that to catch up with what's
working
going
on a new
Ed O.G.
album for 2020 coming out next. And the last album I put out was called Freedom. Y'all could check that. Very good album, 2017. And there's also a documentary with that album for people who don't know about my whole career. You could check that out. And so, my social media, Ed O.G. Pics, P-I-C-S on Instagram, and Ed O.G. on Facebook. Really simple.
I'm going to ask you this last question. You've been in the game for over 30 years. What's changed for the better, in your opinion, with all of the differences in the industry?
I would say that we are able now to control our own music and how we put it out, how we get it distributed, how we get it to people. I think the, advent of the internet, it's like a double-edged sword, but it works, for artists, for independent artists. Now we don't have to depend on a label, with promo, with all of this stuff they was charging us back for, and where you never would see a royalty check because your promo tour is your royalty. You know what I mean? So I think that part of it is beautiful, man, where you can put out music anytime you want. You can tell people, I'm putting out a new 24 hours. Coming. And bam. So I like that. And I like the fact that, on my phone, if I hear something new from you, I could just grab that. Like that. I don't have to wait and go to the store, and then they might not have it. Then I might not go back to get it because it's just different.
Instant access.
Yeah, I love the instant access, to music. I love that.
Yes, indeed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Boston's very own MC, representing very strongly. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Ed O.G.
Thank you, Philly. Thank you.
We want to wish you continued success. We want to welcome the band back up to you. Do a couple of joints for the people, if it's all right. And
Are y'all ready for this? Yes, indeed. Hip hop in the house. Again, Philly, Ed O.G.
Thank y'all. So this first song I'm gonna do is called Hate. It's off my last album, Freedom. And it just seems like we have more hate for each other as black people than we got love for ourselves. It seems like we hate each other more than we love ourselves, y'all. Yeah. All right, Philly, listen. I'm thinking what is life to me, what my life could be, rightfully. Enlighten me instead of trying to fight with me. You eyeing me, we work it out privately. In privacy, vibe with me. Build a dynasty, not a rivalry. Silently, Edo here finally. High or sobriety, shit could end violently. Peace is a piece that released the beast. T-shirts for the deceased, police fire never cease. We get money, we catch and release. We wanna be the centerpiece, so we bang more. Lots of gang wars, all youth online, a bunch of fame whores. Anything for attention, like retweet, anything for a mention. They kiss and tell, make their mission fail. Today's classrooms are like prison cells. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. I said we hate each other more than we love ourselves. Hey, we hate each other more than we love ourselves. Hey, we hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. I said we hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we, we don't trust, so we scam each other, jam each other. No hand for one another, can't stand each other. Kids militarized, quick to be a street patriot. Looking at rival neighborhoods with hatred. Caught in the matrix, no patience, nothing sacred. We all destined for greatness. Love to see each other hurt like sadists. The latest ass shot can make her famous. All women were classy, these women are tasteless. Black men catching cases, locked with racists. No room to wiggle, all matters are civil. Shooting rockets and missiles, candlelights and vigils. My pigment make me guilty, not innocent. Bad mothers raising little kids, that's ignorant. Jail is imminent. No choices or benefits, and our choices are limited. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. I said we hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. Hey, we hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. We hate each other more than we love ourselves. Yo, we hate each other more than we love. Hey, now put an L in the air for love, Philly. Put an L in the air for love, Philly. Put an L in the air for love, Philly. Put an L in the air for love, Philly. Yeah, L's up, love's up, L's up. L's up, L's up, yeah. It's all love, y'all. Keep the L in the air for love. Keep the L in the air for love. We keep the L in the air for love. The L in the air for love. Yeah. Yes. Before I get into this classic joint, 1991, to put Boston hip hop on the map, I just want to say, these people love black culture, but hate black people. They love black culture, but hate black people. Love black culture, but hate black people. Love black culture, but hate black people. Let's go, y'all. '91, Ed O.G and the Bulldogs put Boston hip-hop on the map. Yeah, yeah, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Come on, Philly. Let's go. I stay hard like an erection. Burning suckers, so wear protection. Now who's next when Ed's flexing? I'm the bread, and you were just a crumb off. Jerking your Jimmy, but you still can't come off. Philly, make some noise. Yo, I'm from Roxbury to Berry, but not the fruit, y'all. Don't make me act like where I come from, cause it's brutal. Hold my bone in the zone, that's neutral. Soon to be large, the whole 9 yards, but I ain't suit, y'all. Suckers be swearing at the staring, it's gonna scare me. Look but don't touch, if you do, we prepare G to go out. Just like your first day off punishment. Bulldogs, Roxbury, and Boston is what I represent. Black United leaders living directly off proofs. At first you didn't know us, but now it's like you put me down. We didn't get in there so you can get it with us. You wasn't down, we was riding the bus. So put on your Adidas and step off. I got to have it. Hey, I got to have it. I got to have it. I got to have it. I got to. No need for me to run away. Brother, put the gun away. Wanna take my life away as if we were in combat. Buy some new Adidas, but can't buy my life back. Hey, yo, what's up with that? Why is it like that? Let's stand together, y'all, and fight that in a race to replace waste with a taste just in case. You can't face the place that you've been put in. You was my kid, what you did, you have a foot in. Right in your ass, another term's rectum. Kids are having kids, they're not parents, so they let them do things that shouldn't be done. You're not a father because you got a son, that you're taking care of them. Crack, it's more contagious than rabies. Basehead broads are having basehead babies. Now how that sound, not profound. Black people unite and let's all get down. I got to have it. Hey, I got to have it. Hey, I got to have it. I got to have it. I got to say home. 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 Squeeze. Thank you, Philly. One love. Appreciate y'all.
Get down in your soul, don't it? That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff.